Hello, hello. This is Waswo ex Waswo from Udaipur. Good morning. This is another segment of What is Rotten in the Art World. Um, this morning, I want to talk a little bit about, I guess it would be an artist's identity and how an artist should, in my estimation, approach their work. I was just in Shanti Niketan the past few days where I gave a talk and I showed our documentary on the studio here in Rajasthan and that body of work. Oh, if you're interested in that body, in that documentary, that's on my other channel. That's on my A Studio in Rajasthan channel, which you can find. I'll put the link down below in the description here. But while I was giving the talk, at the end of the talk, we opened it up to questions. And one student, a young man, asked me, he said, how do I reconcile my approach to art making with being politically correct? And now, that's a very controversial term, politically correct. Some people just embrace it without question. For other people, that's a big red flag. And I reacted by saying that I don't care at all about political correctness, and anybody who knows me and talks with me knows that. Although that can be misinterpreted. To say you don't care about political correctness does not mean that you're some arch right-winger. It doesn't mean you don't have feelings and sensitivity and want to treat people with basic kindness and respect. It means more that you don't embrace a certain structure that has been formed around the notion of political correctness that's embraced politically, so that's like a separate thing. But anyway, what that got me thinking about is this whole notion of, and I want to put it sort of in symbolically, it's like, are you as an artist, are you a sheep or are you a cat? Now, when you say, are you a sheep, everybody kind of knows what that means because sheep have very specific behaviors. And when I was younger, I actually worked on a sheep farm for a while in Australia. Which was quite the experience. And, it wasn't until I actually worked on the farm. And when I was younger, I actually herded sheep on the sheep farm and did things like you do with sheep. People don't know that about me necessarily. But working on the sheep ranch, which was north of Melbourne, really made me understand that when somebody says you're acting sheepish or sheep-like, what a real insult that really is, because sheep are just some of the most disgusting creatures on the planet. Now, they can be cute, yes, little lambs are cute. But when you work with sheep, you realize how totally brainless they are, how they lack any sort of guts, how they lack any sort of independence, and really, a sheep's only defense mechanism, by and large, is to try to blend in with the herd, and hope that that's not the one. He's not going to be the one who's going to be selected by the predator and eaten. And that's it. Now, of course, some rams will, turn around and confront the predator briefly before they give in and run away with the herd. But basically, the herd is the protection of the sheep. Now, if you compare that to the behavior of another animal, which I consider superior and what artists should model themselves upon, is the cat. Because with anybody who knows cats cannot be herded. Try to herd cats and they're all over the place. They're running around the room or running around your yard. Cats will not congregate and let you drive them in a particular way. They're very, very unruly animals. Now, I believe artists should be like cats because cats are curious. Cats are willing to go into strange places. They'll crawl into this, they'll jump up on top of that. They're not at all afraid to explore the unknown. They're playful. Cats are playful. Cats are very, very interesting. They may not be the most intelligent of animals, but cats do a lot of things right as far as I'm concerned. And they certainly are not sheepish in that very bad sense of the word. So artists, need to be independent minded. And it bothers me that many people do not want artists to be independent, really. Now, they'll give a ruse that, artists should be independent and think independently. But what they often mean is artists should not think according to this ideology, but they should think according to that ideology instead. So here in India, of course, we have a lot of push from the right wing, which is very horrible. And they've been pushing into the universities and into different cultural institutions and demanding conformity. And the only thing the arts community can do is push back against the right wing in India and assert its independence. Now, that's a great thing, and I fully support it. The trouble is in that in doing so, when it becomes very organized, you have a problem perhaps that then you'll be sucked into a contrarian negative where you basically become a sheep for the left wing. And you don't want that either, because otherwise you have what we have so largely now in the West, in Europe and America, where you're kind of sucked into this politically correct narrative and you're not allowed to deviate from that either. So, on one hand, you might have a nationalist Hindutva approach that is very constraining, but then on the other hand, you might have a very postmodernist leftist approach that can also be constraining. And I think the artist should steer clear of both. It bothers me when I talk to young artists sometimes and you ask them, what are you concerned about in your art? And they'll say something that to me seems very like they're running a script. They'll say, oh, well, I'm concerned about gender issues. Okay, well, that's a very popular one to be concerned about. But when you talk to them in day-to-day life, they never bring up gender issues. They're not really concerned about it. They're concerned about it because they think they should be concerned about it, and they think that somehow that's going to open up a door for them with the curators and the institutions, whatever, and let them go through that door, okay? But I think what an artist needs to do is maybe look into his or her head and maybe think and their history and maybe say, well, gender issues have not really been something that I've personally been concerned with. Maybe what really affected me in my life is how after my father died, how my mother had to struggle on a meager pension to raise the family, how the cost of education was too high, how it was hard for my mom to keep food on the plate for all of us kids. Those might be the real issues that you're concerned about if you really do some self-examination. So if you're going to be politically aware in your art, maybe you should turn your attention to the issues that really matter, the issues you've had experience with, the issues you've had firsthand experience with. Now, those might be quote unquote gender issues, but it might be something much more specific and much more personal to the individual. I always come back to the individual in a lot of these videos because to me, that is of primary importance. I think art needs to be an individual endeavor. And yeah, we are cats. Artists are a herd of cats. And we have similar traits perhaps, and you can say some generalizations about artists that I'm sure are true. But we should never lose our independence. We should always be going in our own direction. We should not be behaving like sheep. So, short video this morning, and let me know what you think in the comments. Please like this, please subscribe, and I'll keep adding to these here and there during the course of the year, and we'll see where this series goes. See you later. This is Waswo x Waswo from Udaipur. Bye.